Welcome back and thank you for staying with Checkpoint. KTN News can exclusively confirm that President William Ruto's Kenya Kwanza administration has been quietly dispatching emissaries to court Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka, urging him to join the coalition ahead of the 2027 general election. Now, sources reveal that Kalonzo, who has remained firmly in the opposition despite the formation of a broad-based government, has been offered a tempting deal: the position of Ruto's running mate on the 2027 ticket. As our senior political affairs reporter Chris Thairo now reports, the biggest political litmus test facing President Ruto as he eyes a second term is the delicate decision of who will be his deputy, with experts predicting that the current deputy president, Professor Kithure Kindiki, is likely to be dropped and Ruto forced to consider a running mate from either the Western or Nyanza regions.
Even as President William Ruto and his inner circle grapple with the reality of dwindling public support compared to the 2022 wave that swept him into State House, a defining political test looms just 24 months to the next general election, deciding who will be his running mate at the ballot. Given the dwindling popularity of the president in Mount Kenya region since the impeachment of Rigathi Gachagua, and because this is where his deputy Professor Kithure Kindiki hails from, political pundits argue that it will be highly unlikely that the president will pick Kindiki as his running mate come 2027.
If he maintains Kindiki, that will be to his own disadvantage. It's a tragedy also for William Ruto to retain and maintain Kindiki.
If the Mount Kenya will be as lost then as it is today, it will make no sense to retain Kindiki as running mate.
In 2022, Ruto harvested over 2.9 million votes from the Mount Kenya bloc, dwarfing Raila Odinga's 848,000 votes. But with growing resentment in the region, the Kenya Kwanza camp has now turned its eyes south to the Kamba vote and Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka. With more than 1.4 million votes in Ukambani, insiders say plan is to offer Kalonzo Musyoka the running mate slot, a move aimed at neutralizing opposition firepower.
Mimi tunaambia Kalonzo aanze kufikiria, akae na huyu ndugu yake huyu, atafutiwe nafasi kubwa katika Kenya ili awe mtu ya maana katika nchi Kenya.
Unaona huyu wa Munyoro, ile maneno atafanyia Kalonzo hajui saa hii.
But Kalonzo's fierce response on social media left no room for ambiguity, vowing not to join the Kenya Kwanza administration, and I quote, "I will never join this rogue and criminal regime. I refuse to engage in dialogue with a government that has our children's blood on its hands," signing off with the hashtag #OneTermIsrael.
Imagine wakisema wanatangaza kila Kalonzo anaenda kuingia serikali. Watafute Kalonzo mwingine sio huyu wa Musyoka. Ate niingiliana na Ruto. Mimi.
Another wild card in the succession arithmetic is the unexpected bromance between Ruto and ODM leader Raila Odinga, with speculation rife that Ruto might fish for a running mate from Nyanza, with Homa Bay Governor Gladys Wanga emerging as a possible pick. However, this arithmetic might be hard to sell, given that Nyanza region is still divided on whether to support President Ruto's quest for a second term in office. As per the 2022 polls, Raila swept the Nyanza vote with over 1.4 million votes compared to William Ruto's, who managed 70,000 votes.
The ODM, we cannot have spent 40 years in the wilderness just to come and present Gladys Wanga as a deputy to somebody, really. People have died, you know, in the trenches. People are even still rotting in prison. People have lost their loved ones. People have lost jobs. People have suffered in this journey towards Canaan. We cannot just have suffered from Misri to Canaan only to reach Jordan and they start offloading some people and they pick in crocodiles.
Between now and 2022, Ruto would have done so much for the Luo people in general that it won't be very difficult for Raila to persuade them to vote for Ruto.
This leaves the Western region as the ultimate battleground between opposition and Kenya Kwanza, a vote-rich bloc with over 2 million votes up for grabs. However, in Western, a political duel is already brewing, pitting Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi and National Assembly Speaker Moses Wetangula on one side, and DAP Kenya boss Eugene Wamalwa and Trans Nzoia Governor George Natembeya on the other side.
Now Western, they have already been, I think they have been brainwashed by Natembeya, the Tawe movement. I mean, we don't want you to say you will come and work with us. Kumbe, you just want us to go and be, you know, watchmen and all that.
If the opposition settles on Kalonzo, for example, and then with Natembeya or Eugene as running mate, Western could either be considered gone for Ruto and therefore he would ignore it, or he might wish to put up a fight within Western.
Remember last time in 2022, the scales were turned in Bungoma. We got more than 200,000 votes that tilted the scale because this is where it was all won, and this is where also Raila, the Azimio people lost. So he needs to consolidate Western, retain what he had in Bungoma, and gain grounds in Busia, Vihiga, and Kakamega.
Rigathi Gachagua.
In the last general election, it took President William Ruto more than 24 hours to name Rigathi Gachagua as his running mate, 3 months to the elections. This is despite the current DP, Kindiki, having received majority of the votes from the members.
If William Ruto is settling on a Western Kenya ticket, how flexible will the Luo Nyanza region be in ceding position number 2 to Western Kenya?
And just maybe, Ruto might throw a surprise to Kenyans.
He could go for a Muslim candidate as running mate. Those are 5 million votes. That can wipe out Mount Kenya supremacy in terms of numbers.
And after all said and done, some of the characteristics that President William Ruto would be looking for is someone who can manage to galvanize 90, if not 100% support from his political base, as well as assure him of financing his campaigns ahead of the 2027 general election. Chris Dairo, KTN, Nairobi.